Good morning, people. How are we doing? Your boy is out on his morning walk, getting his steps in, and thankfully this week I can walk a little bit more normally. So if you saw last week's video, you will know what I'm talking about. But your boy has gone and got himself injured, which is obviously not ideal. Being injured is not good. So I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to work around that in this video, so that I can still train, I can still progress, I can still do what I can, so that I'm not just sliding backwards over this time. But to catch everyone up, I was getting a bottle of aftershave off the shelf. It fell out of the cap just before I was about to grab it with the other hand, whacked me on the dick, and then landed on my toe, which was obviously not very good. Literally a week where I couldn't walk. Then it was sort of walking with one crutch, getting a little bit better. And now I can train, I can do some stuff for legs, and I'm going to be walking you through one of those sessions today and explaining how you can adapt it if something like this happens to your legs or something like this happens to your upper body. Because the same principles of doing what you can do and slowly progressing that tolerance apply universally. So let's get into the rest of the video. Meal one has been made before then, and I'm just walking you guys through how I make the coffee there. So AeroPress, best way to make coffee, in my opinion. Super simple, super tasty, and I absolutely love it. And I drink that while I get started with work. I've got a smoothie on my face. That is absolutely outrageous. There we go. There we go. I'm going to leave that in because that's funny. So, meal one, as you probably would have guessed already, is the smoothie. As usual, we've got dark chocolate going with that. Hazelnut is the choice for today. Hazelnut and mint are probably the top dogs. To be fair, I'll go with that most reliably because it tastes nice. And then obviously the coffee as well to go to that. So morning walk is done. Litre of water is in. Instagram posts have been posted. And what was the other one? Oh, messages have been responded to. Obviously, they're not there to remind me to respond to them because I've already responded. Man's got those quick reply times. Let's go. So, wanted to chat a little bit here about, I guess, the recovery process so far of my foot and fill you in on that before we get into the session and all of that. So, as I said earlier, there was a week where I literally couldn't walk. So, day one, I could put some weight on it. It was all right. And then day two, literally, couldn't put any weight on it. I was crawling along the floor. I don't know if you've seen Vikings, but literally, like Ivar the Boneless. It was great. Went to get some crutches, was using those for the next couple of days, and then I was able to sort of do like a, Mad Eye Moody impression type thing, walking on one crutch, but look a bit dodgy as you're doing it type of thing. And then, sorry, there's something in my eye. That's what she said. Wow, I'm so funny. And then I was just walking around like Penguin, with a bit of a limp, walking on one foot type of thing. But it's okay now. I obviously walked better, I've obviously walked worse, but it's good to be back. Makes me appreciate all the stuff that I, can do now as well, because a couple of weeks ago, literally couldn't do anything, which is obviously not ideal. So for now, I've got check-ins with my Wednesday clients. Then I'm going to write some emails and I'm going to get to work on updating the chest growth guide. So if you'd like access to that, just let me know and I will get that sorted. First check-in for the day is my client Jose, so I'll make a couple of notes based on what he's put in the sheets, listen to the audio summary of his week and just see, okay, what do we need to address here, what's gone well, what can we improve upon, review the pictures as I'm talking him through the week, and then sum up with the main points. This is what we need to work on next week in order to keep progressing. And so far he's 20 pounds down, so it's clearly doing pretty well, but he is not the only one. Okay, it's not just, oh yeah, bro, you didn't hit your calories, you were way over, so eat less food next week. Well, that's not really helpful, is it? They know they need to eat less food. We look at why they overate on the food and what we can do in that same situation next time in order to stop that happening, okay? And that's all done in a video format that I'll send back to them, talking through their data sheets, looking at their check-in pictures, comparing it to the past and all of that, so that they know what they need to do going forward and how we can manage that. And it's safe to say that that is working pretty damn well for Blake and Cameron. So it's actually Blake's last week of coaching. So we're just running through everything that he needs to do going forward to make sure that he can keep building more muscle mass. He doesn't get fat as he's going through the muscle building phase, and he can manage things himself, staying accountable, because that's one of my biggest goals, is giving my clients the tools that they need to keep progressing going forward so that they don't always need me, okay? And then Cameron has just finished up a deficit phase. So I'm talking him through how we're going to bring his food up, lower his expenditure so it's not so time consuming, and really put that focus on training performance. So form feedback is key, but I'll run through how I do that in another video for sure. And if you're feeling like, you're stuck in the cycle, like Cameron was, of cutting down, gaining all that weight back again, and then not knowing what to do from there because you really want to build muscle mass, but you're already too fat in order to do that, then this support that I've talked through here might just be what you need in order to keep progressing. And if you'd like more information on that, just drop me a DM. And it is time for the pre-workout meal number 2 of the day. Chicken, courgette, rice, peppers, and no beetroot because I forgot it and I'm a waste of space. We have also got the standard strawberry banana smoothie and the macadamia nut oil on this bad boy. So, plan of action for this session is a leg day because it's Wednesday. You have to train legs on Wednesday, as we all know. And I'm going to have to be pretty cautious with this because obviously my foot is a bit dodgy. So I'll be doing some leg extensions, some leg curls, all of that good stuff. Trying to get as much work as I can done, considering the amount of pressure that I can put on my foot. Jeez, that's rhymed. Poet, and I didn't even know it. Wow. Man thinks he's a comedian. So I'll do some pressing on the right side, but that will be it, really. I'm not going to try and do too much on the left. I'll maybe give a warm-up a go, see what I can do, pushing consciously a little bit more through the bottom of my foot rather than my toes, because obviously I don't want to put too much pressure through that. And the goal here is just to maintain. Like, if I can only do leg extensions and leg curls, I'm happy with that at the end of the day. That's all I need to maintain my legs for a couple of weeks until my toes okay. You might be thinking, this is a leg day. Why is he on a tricep press down? That's not legs. The truth is, your programming needs to be individual to you and what you need. My triceps are a pretty crappy muscle group for me. Everything else still needs to grow, but what I'm doing here is giving them a little bit more priority by doing them at the start of a leg day where they're not going to be fatigued, unlike the end of a push or an upper session where you've already done loads of work that's going to tax them to some degree. So as I'm going through this press down, I'm just thinking about initiating with elbow extension. Okay, I'm not just thinking let's move the bar. I'm thinking about using my triceps, because more often than not, if you've got a shit muscle group, something about what you're doing and how you're training it is the reason that it's pretty crap. Now we're on to the second tricep exercise. This is about as overhead-ish as I get, actually over shoulder, really. But if I go any higher up into shoulder flexion, so that's bringing the arm up in front of the torso and then almost over the top of the shoulder, I just get so much elbow pain. Whereas the way that I've got it set up here, it's going to be pretty damn hard in the length and range, and it's going to drop off a lot towards the short, because you'll see that yellow ball of the cable gets way closer to my elbow. So that's going to make it easier there. First port of call on the leg extension is to raise that input pad up. That's just what you press up against, and that is going to reduce the forces around the knee joint. So the other muscles in and around the knee that need to help stabilize that when we apply the force a little bit higher up. That's the same sort of reason why I would be using cuffs on something if I get elbow pain. I've also reclined the seat backwards so I can sit in a little bit more of an extended hip position, and the quad, the rec fem, is going to be a little bit more lengthened there. You will have seen the warm-up sets that I did, and that's just to get my quads ready to perform. So I'll do 10 reps, 5 reps, and then 2-3 reps, escalating load as I go on. And I've just got the seat belt wrapped around the bottom of the seat there, so I can think about extending my hips, pushing up into the seat belt, and that's going to get me at least a nicer contraction as I go through these. Another good thing about doing leg extensions here is that it's one of the movements at the moment that I can do pretty much pain-free, because the load is applied above the ankle joint, so I'm not thinking about anything to go on with my foot, and I can just think about training my quads and making sure that that muscle stays around. Next up is another exercise with a seatbelt. I just clearly love being strapped into things, so the drive to the gym is the time of my life. No, in all seriousness, it's another exercise that it's incredibly useful for, because in the shortened position of the seated leg curl, the load wants to pull you forward, and that's why a lot of people's lower backs come off the pad. So the seatbelt means that it's pulling me backwards and I don't have to think about pushing into that pad so hard. Granted, I'm still doing that. So I can just think about training my hamstrings. And at the top of the exercise here, I'll cue driving my leg up into the pad. And then towards the shortened position, I'll push more against it to keep my back in a stable position. Same thing goes for the leg extension and the press down, except there the seatbelt is pulling me down into the seat because the load wants to force me up. Thankfully, the injury to my foot wasn't too serious, so 2 weeks later, I've been able to do a lower body press on that side. I'm going single leg so that I can quickly bring the other leg in to support if I need to. And I don't want to be standing up on a hack squat or a pendulum or, God forbid, a free bar squat at this point in case anything goes wrong. But this feels safe. I'm mostly pushing through my heel. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for quad growth, but I would recommend it for me right now so I can have minimal pain, because at the end of the day, if it helps me, it's the right thing to do at the moment, and you need to remember that in your training. You'll also notice the press down, the leg extension, and this leg press don't have any weight plates or cables attached to it, and that's because it's a Kaiser machine, which actually uses air pressure as resistance, which is pretty cool because it means you can do a drop set without having to change the weight, and you also don't have to load anything, which is also nice. Now we are on to a hip extension. Now forgive the mood lighting, this is just what it looks like in this gym, and I wasn't able to get the best angle, but you'll see I've got some pads behind me there to allow me to get into a bit deeper hip flexion and get more of a loading through the glutes and the hamstrings, but I'm still getting a fair amount of erector as well, just having to hold this position stable. Final exercise for the session is a seated hip adduction. Now I haven't done these for a while because the previous gym I was at didn't have a very good one, and I was also getting a lot of hip pain performing them, so gave it a rest for a while. I'm coming back to them here, and what I really like about the Nautilus one is you see that low pin on the back of the machine. Well, that allows me to change the angle of the back pad, which can help it feel a little bit nicer. You're also going to be training your adductors in a slightly different way. Like the rest of the session, in order to minimize the pain that I'm getting, I'm thinking about pushing through the bottom, the heel of my foot, rather than up onto the ball or the toes of it, because, you know, I don't want to be in pain, and that's quite nice. Leg day here, just filming this from inside the Milfmobile, as my friends call it. Nissan Juke, you guys know the vibe. Anyway, decent leg session there. I'm actually pretty damn happy with that, I'm not gonna lie, especially compared to last week where my foot was bothering me most of the time. I was actually able to do some pressing on that foot, so put some weight on it. Granted, the majority of it was like through my heel, but I was able to press, and that's good considering I wasn't able to walk 10 days ago. So very, very happy with this session. You will have seen, you know, a few pointers and all of that as I'm going through it. That is the last bit of the chest growth video guide all wrapped up. So if any of you are interested in that, just shoot me a message with the word chest. I'll know exactly what you're talking about, and I will send you the link to that bad boy. But final part of the video is just talking about, did I change anything with my food? Because that's a really common thing that I hear with people when they get injured is, oh, do I need to eat less food? Because, you know, I'm not doing as much activity, I'm not training, or they'll say the same thing for a deload. No, you need that food to recover, okay? Please leave it the same. I was still eating my meals. Granted, body weight's going to be a bit weird with not moving around too much, not doing too much extra activity, but please do not panic about that, okay? Follow the plan as you normally would. Yeah, I was in a deficit at the end of the day, so if I'm doing a little bit less and I'm eating more food, I'm probably going to be about maintenance anyway. It's going to work out okay. There's going to be so many variables up in flux anyway, so adding another one of changing food is just more confusion than you actually need. So just leave it how it is, you'll be fine. So that is the end of the video, people. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a like, give it a subscribe. Give it a subscribe, give me a subscribe. Me, it's my channel, yeah. And if you haven't, dislike, boost us up in the algorithm with a hate comment, all of that good stuff. Bye bye, Kermit the Frog.